Cool. Cool. All right. All right, y'all. So this is what I do. All right. So for the person who just commented, you're definitely referring to abortion. So what I do is I invite you up to actually talk, because I don't like speaking to comments. That's just not something that I do. I'm not interested in going back and forth in the comments. I'm interested in actually having a discussion. Let's actually talk instead of going back and forth in comments, because by the time you put a comment, I'm going to explain my position, and then you're going to be putting another comment in the middle of me explaining my position. So we might as well go ahead and come up and talk and actually have the conversation instead of just commenting to each other back and forth. I think it's a lot more productive to do that. So I did go ahead and invite you up, and we can definitely go ahead and have that conversation. What's going on over here on StreamYard? StreamYard is acting a little funky. Yeah, StreamYard's acting funky. I'm not sure why that is. Yeah, StreamYard acting funky. I don't know. All right, so tap that screen, y'all. Tap that screen. I appreciate y'all being here. The phone line is open. I'm on early today because I do got something to do tonight. I got plans. So I decided just to come on early today. I'm only going to be here for about an hour and a half. Once again, for the person who commented in the comments, go ahead and come on up, because that's an interesting topic to talk about, because I definitely know you're talking about abortion. So go ahead and reply to the request. Go ahead and come on up, and then we can have that conversation. I don't like talking to comments. If I've said that multiple times already. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody being here. Hey, I appreciate that, Wayne. Thank you so much. Pink and Blue Shark, how's it going? How's it going, Pink and Blue? Appreciate you being here as well. What up, Daddy Satan? What up? What's going on? Oh yeah, Libra. I'm gonna make you a mod over on the TikTok. I'll do that in a moment. Yeah, I'll do that in a moment, Libra. I'm gonna make you a mod over on the TikTok. But yeah, y'all. Yeah, of course, no problem. I appreciate y'all always being here. All right, y'all. We are at 1,600 likes already. The stream kind of looks a little nasty. I think I got to close some things out on the laptop. Let me see. Let me close some things out, see if that helps out. Yeah, I think I have to close some things out on the laptop and see if that helps out a little bit. Let's see. From 1970 to 2026, Republican policies towards blacks are racist. So, right, yeah, and voter rights for black, definitely. Definitely. I'm not sure what's going on with well, I kind of know what's going on with Republicans. They figured out that it's better to, placate to racism than to, basically the Southern strategy. That's why what Republicans employed Lee Atwater Southern strategy and went for racial animus instead of staying with their civil rights history. They decided to win back the South by being racist, which kind of sucks. I'm not sure. All right, so over on YouTube, how is the live looking? Is it sticky over there? Because it looks like it's sticky over on my end. I know over on TikTok, I'm pretty good. Everything's running pretty smoothly. But when I'm looking at the playback here on my YouTube, things kind of look sticky. Not sure where that is. Oh, yeah, I'm looking good, Libra. All right, as long as I'm looking good, cool. That might be just be the computer. Might just be the computer. All right, y'all. But go ahead and tap that screen. We waiting for any guests to come in. I did have one person to comment, but of course, every time I say, "Hey, come on," so we could discuss it, they disappear. The phone line is open. Like I said, I'm not going to be here for long, so we're going to go ahead and wait for a call or wait for someone to come up over on TikTok. Unfortunately, what TikTok likes to do is that if you use your phone too long, I mean, not use your phone, but if you use Studio too long, they throttle the views, and I do not know where that is. Anima, I'm using StreamYard. StreamYard has always been okay. Yeah, I mean, it's always worked out. It's always been okay. Now, someone on the YouTube, Libra over on my YouTube, she says that I look fine. She said I look fine over there, like it's not sticking around. Yeah, I did. I closed everything. Everything is closed. Yeah, my tabs are low. Everything is closed. So I'm not sure why that could be the case. Yeah, right now I'm using StreamYard to go to my I'm using StreamYard to go to my Twitch, my Facebook, and 3 different YouTubes. No, I don't have any makeup on my eyes. That's just my eyes. That's how my eyes goes. I got hyperpigmentation. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I just got hyperpigmentation, so I don't have any makeup on my eyes. All right, y'all. So we're just waiting for a call, waiting for somebody to come in. Uh Now I've been live for about 10 minutes now. I've been live for about 10 minutes now. I haven't gotten anyone. Usually what that means is that TikTok wants me to start over. Either they want me to start over or they want me to go on my phone. It's really it's really funny how TikTok works. If you don't have like 100,000 followers, it's gonna force you to try to use your phone to go live. Like it will like they will like mess with your views. They will not want you to use TikTok Studio at all. They will basically throttle the TikTok Studio live. But then once I go on my phone, I'm getting guests automatically. You know what I mean? It's really weird that it works like that. They want you to not. Yeah, the algorithm is God basically, which is kind of funny. I don't know because they rolled out TikTok Studio, and then when people start to use it and things go well and we get all of our guests and everything like that, they then start blocking the views to force you back on the phone. It's it's really crazy. I don't know why it does that. I have no idea why it does that. It's just really funny. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna stay here for a few more moments. All right, just a few more minutes. If I see that the if I see that it's just not coming in, like I'm not getting any guests, things are just not rolling in, I'm just gonna go ahead and switch to my phone. I'm gonna end it here. I'm just gonna switch to my phone. Yeah, Loeb says it as well. Weird amount of viewers. Yeah, I don't know if you're using TikTok Studio, if you're using your phone, Lobes, but I know for me, I have to use my phone for like at least 2-3 weeks. And then when I get back on TikTok Studio, then the guests can get normal again. Using Studio too, yeah, exactly. It's really weird. I don't like. Why I don't understand why TikTok rolled out this Studio feature if it's just gonna force you to get back on the phone. It's strange. Oh, high end cameras and elaborate backdrops preferred. Yeah, that's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why. If they want you to have like a super high-end camera. Basically, they want everybody to be like Parker and Dean, essentially, because Parker and Dean, they get a lot of people in here, but that's not gonna happen if they throttle the views. You know what I mean? So it's just so strange. Yeah, man. Tech companies always make weird decisions that seem to go against better judgment, in my opinion. I never understand it. Yeah, I never understand it. They're very, very picky on what they want. Even right now on YouTube, it's hard to the views are difficult. Even right now on YouTube, the views are difficult. All right, I'm gonna give it about maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and if I see nothing comes by, I'm gonna end this one on TikTok Studio, and I'm just gonna go get on my phone because I don't get it. I don't get it. I need to figure. I don't understand what TikTok wants. You know what I mean? Because I like this feature. I like using Studio because I can get call-ins. I get people over from YouTube to come on in and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, because I do get people over on YouTube that comment, and I always ask them to call in. A lot of people don't have TikTok, so when they don't have TikTok or anything like that, I just tell them to go ahead and call the phone number, and then we can talk. You know what I mean? But like without it, it makes things a lot more difficult. Since it makes things a lot more difficult. Like even over on YouTube now, my views are pretty low. So what I'm gonna do, y'all, I'm gonna give it. All right, we're at 15 minutes in. So since we're at 15 minutes in and I haven't gotten any guests, I'm going to switch to my phone. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my phone. Left is on the same body. All right, we do got a guess.
Call from.
All right, how's it going? Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with what I had on the board?
Yeah, Stewart 32. And what was that?
Did you disagree with something I had on the board or want to talk about what I had on the board?
Yeah, I yes, yeah. The why should I believe in God?
All right, sure. Yeah, we can go ahead and put on the clock for 15 minutes. Why do you think I should believe in a God?
Yeah, so I would say that the reason that you should believe in a God is because it's well. Let me put it like this, I guess, because I'm assuming, are you an atheist?
I am an atheist.
Okay. So let me try to give you evidence for God first, if that's all right, and then I can circle to the why you should believe in God.
Well, if you have evidence, that's basically a why right there, because there's evidence for it. But what evidence do you think
Sure.
there is?
Well, I mean, I would say there's definitely evidence. So that's a good why. The creation speaks of the Creator. So when we look out and we see flowers, puppies, birds, the stars, the skies, all those things speak of a creator. It's the same as like if we look at a building, we know there was a builder. If you look at a microphone, you know there's a microphone maker. And so when you look at creation, you know that there was a creator.
The way that you're using creation, are you saying that the universe was put here deliberately by an agent?
Absolutely, yeah. God created everything that you see.
Cool. Now, the question is, well, then becomes, how do you know that the universe is a deliberate process and not a natural process that you don't understand yet? How did you rule out one and not the other?
Sure. So when you look at the opposing theory, like of evolution, for example, that's chaos creating order, which never happens, right? Like even if I just came upon 4 leaves, in a row on the ground, I would go, who did that, right? So there's so much order and design. You can't deny that there's a designer.
Yeah, you can, because like you didn't show that these things actually were designed. You're just claiming that it is. And not only that, evolution is not chaos. It's basically survival, adaptation, genetic drift, to your environment. That's not really chaos. A lot of it is, yeah, sure, random, but that doesn't mean that it's chaotic, because your environment can become random. So it's not really it's not really chaos creating order. It's not even about chaos or order. Is just how organisms react to their environment, essentially.
So, but the evolution theory gives a idea for the origins of everything, and it's a chaotic origins, right? There's the Big Bang theory, which is an explosion happens, and then boom, you've got order from that explosion, which would be order from chaos.
The Big Bang wasn't an explosion; it was an expansion of space-time.
Okay. So let me try to shift gears here, because I'm speaking to your intellect, and you seem like a pretty bright person. So let me try if I can speak to your conscience. Would you be okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Do you consider yourself to be a good person?
Yep.
How many lies have you ever told in your life?
Lots.
What do you call somebody that tells lots of lies?
It depends.
Well, it rhymes with fire, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but a liar, what a liar is, it's basically someone who likes to maliciously deceive people. There are lies that I told that I didn't tell them to maliciously deceive anyone. I told them to save someone else's life. Like, for example, I grew up in a community that violence was pretty this is not all Black people, but just particularly for me, there was a community that I was part of where violence was kind of normalized, right? So if I knew someone wanted to commit violence on somebody else and they asked me where that person was, even if I knew, I told them that I don't know, because I didn't want violence to come onto that person. I wasn't maliciously deceiving them. I just lied to them to make sure that violence doesn't happen. Yeah, I mean, and because I did that, that person is alive today. So what would you call me a liar because I saved someone's life, or would you commend me for saving that person's life, even though I lied?
Well, I don't want to jump down that rabbit hole too far, but I would say that, in definition wise, yes, you'd be considered a liar, right? And not all the lies, I assume, if you're like me, not all the lies that you've told in your life have been for what you considered a good cause, right? But just like somebody that murders somebody, they only murder somebody one time, they're a murderer, right? So it's the same thing with lying. So have you ever stolen anything, irrespective of its value?
No.
Okay.
No, that's the only thing.
Not even a pen?
I mean, I guess that all depends on how you define stealing. Like, for example, if I went to a doctor's office,
taking something that doesn't belong to you without permission.
I mean, yeah, I guess I did that. Like, I walked out the doctor's office with a pen in my pocket. So yeah, I did that.
Okay. So, and what do you call somebody that steals things?
You typically call them a thief. But the thing is, like,
okay,
what I'm saying is that I understand you don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but you understand that these things are a lot more complex than you being a liar and you being a thief. They're a lot more complex than that.
Well, just bear with me. Give me just a couple more minutes.
Sure.
I'm going to try to give you the best reason. Okay. Have you ever
Probably.
Okay. And this is one that Jesus said. Jesus said, if you look at a woman to lust after her, you've committed adultery in your heart. Have you ever looked after a woman with lust?
Oh, yeah. I live in Miami. You know what I mean? So lots of beautiful Caribbean women down here.
Sure, Sure. So now, if there's a God, and if he were to judge you, we just went through some of the 10 commandments. If he were to judge you based on that, would you be found innocent or guilty?
I'll probably be found guilty. However, like I said, there's much more complexity to this than that. You know what I mean? And if God is all knowing, then he should know that, right?
So hold on. You'd be guilty just like the rest of us. Now, here's the next question. If you're found guilty, should he send you to heaven or hell?
He should send me to heaven because again, this is more complex than just me being a thief, a liar, and someone who quote unquote commits adultery.
So he should send you to heaven because of the basis of why you did those things?
Correct. Because we don't send kids to jail for stealing a pack of gum, but we do send people to jail if they rob a bank. That's what I'm saying.
There's
It's more
still
complex.
a penalty even if you steal a pack of gum. Here, let me. All right, so we were hung up on the lying a second ago, right? Like, because I think what you're getting at is that you don't think that the offense is that bad, right? That's kind of where we're getting at. So let me give you an example and see if I can convince you that it is. So if I were to go home and lie to my children, what would happen? Probably nothing, right?
Probably nothing. Yeah, depends on what you lied about.
Probably nothing, right? There. Okay, but now if I were to lie to my wife, I'm probably going to end up on the couch, right? Now, if I go to work and I lie to my employer, I'm probably going to get fired or reprimanded, right? Now, if I go to a court of law and I were to tell a lie, I could go to prison for perjury, right? Now, what's changed? Whom I've committed that act against, right? The authority in which we committed the act against. So when we sin, when we lie, steal, commit adultery, all those things, we're sinning against God, whom's the supreme authority, and therefore it deserves a just punishment. Okay. So the just punishment, if we're honest, would be hell. We deserve hell because we're all sinners.
I don't believe we deserve to get tortured for lying. But the second thing I would say is that even in those situations, it's more complex than that, right? Like if you go home and lie to your kids, it depends on what you lied to them about. If you lied to your wife, it depends on what you lied to her about. If you lie to your boss, it depends on what you lied to him about. A lot of times you won't get reprimanded, even if they do find out. Yeah, I mean, like it really depends. You see what I mean? Like now, of course, in court, yeah, you're swearing not to lie, so you're gonna get punished. But some perjuries is not jail time. Some perjuries are just a fine. Yeah, I mean, like, oh, okay, you lied about this. Well, now you got to pay a fine because you committed perjury, and the fine is like $500. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, that's gonna kind of hit your pocket. That $500 could have gone to fixing your brakes or something like that. But still, like, it's always going to depend. It's never as simple as you lie to your wife, couch, or divorce. You lied in a court, jail. It's never that simple. You know what I mean? Even in our quote unquote lowly human minds, we make exceptions. We know that things are complex. You know what I'm saying? But like God, if there's an all-knowing God out there for real, that God would know that. You know what I mean? So why would he not make exceptions?
So let me tell you the exception that he did make. If we're honest, we're all guilty before him. And are you familiar with what God did so that all of us guilty sinners wouldn't have to go to hell?
Yeah, he did a virgin blood sacrifice, but all of this is assuming that a God exists in the first place.
well, Jesus came, God came and took on flesh, and he paid for our sins on the cross. Now, most people know that, but if you can get a grip of this, it may change things for you. So Jesus paid for our sins on the cross, and that's why his last words were, "It is finished." The debt had been paid, okay? And it's like if you were in a court of law and you had a stack of speeding fines against you and somebody came in and paid your fines, the judge could legally let you go and you'd be free to go. And that's what Jesus did for us, is he paid for our sins on the cross. Yeah, and then 3 days later, he rose again, defeating death for us.
I got you. I understand all that. What I'm saying,
know that. Wait, hold on. God does know that
I get all this. I understand the story. What I'm saying is that you're assuming that all of this is true for some reason. There's no reason to assume this. Like, there's no reason. Like, we know that. Like, we can say that Jesus was a real guy, right? I have no problem with Jesus being a real guy. But why would we assume that he was the son of ultra super wizard that created a universe from nothing for some reason? And like he died for our sins, or that sins are even a real thing, or that a God exists in the first place. You're making a lot of assumptions before we do all this. You actually have to show that a God exists in the first place.
Yeah, and I would again say that the creation speaks to the creator on that end. But if you were to investigate Jesus, so here's good evidence, because the question isn't whether or not Jesus existed, because even atheist scholars will say, yeah, Jesus was a real man and he lived. I mean, it's the man that split time, right? we live in 2026 after death of whom? Christ, right? Our whole calendar is split based off of him. But the biggest question is whether or not he really was God, like you said, and if he was, did he rise from the dead? And these scared men that were turning away from him as he's taken off to the cross to die, and then after he rose again, they would not recant their statement of seeing him risen even to death.
So
and over 500 people saw him at once after the resurrection, and they wouldn't recant that statement.
But
and they all went to death for it.
Wait, hold on,
so
hold on.
I mean, it's one thing to be duped.
Wait, hold on. Slow down. The entire thing with the 500 people, that's just a claim that Paul made. We have no idea if that's true or not. Paul just made the claim. We don't know if he's what to say is that his disciples went ahead and died for what they believe. People die for things that are wrong all the time. It doesn't mean that they were lying about it or they knew that it was untrue. They could have certainly believed that it was true, but people die for untrue things all the time. We saw that with Jim Jones. 900 people died for him, and we knew that he was a liar. Yeah, I mean, but they all died believing that he was telling the truth, and he wasn't. People die for untrue things all the time, so we just can't go off of that.
Yeah, but these were people that weren't willing to die until after the resurrection, and then they willingly went and died.
No, I get that. What I'm saying,
recant their statement.
Right? No, I get it, but it wasn't really about recanting their statement. They just wanted them to stop spreading Christianity. But when it comes to that, right? Yeah, I understand that that the disciples, whatever happened to them, probably died believing, but that doesn't mean what they believe was actually true.
Well, it's definitely worth investigating for yourself to see if there's any truth to it, for sure. I would, a good author, like if you're into reading or anything, there was a famous atheist, Lee Strobel, that went to try to disprove Jesus Christ's resurrection and his death, because that's another, claim that Jesus didn't really die. He was, the Romans didn't do their job right. I'd urge you, I can't twist your arm to believe in Jesus, but I would urge you to investigate, to see if it's true, because if it's not true, then what I'm saying doesn't matter at all, right? Like, it doesn't matter. But if it is true, then it's eternity at stake, right? And my urge wouldn't be to try to scare you into trusting in Jesus, because you're going to burn in hell if you don't. But if you were to find that the true living God did die for you, you should want to trust in him, because he's the most loving God there ever was, that willingly went to die for you. Does that make sense?
Did he know that that slavery was going to happen?
Yeah. We live in a sin-cursed, fallen world.
I got you.
And there's many great evils.
No, I got you. There's many great evils. Why not stop it instead of doing the virgin blood sacrifice thing?
So the purpose of Jesus paying for our sins was to pay for our sins that we've committed against God, and to redeem us and bring us into a right relationship with God. If we repent, that means to change your mind about who you think you are. You're not a good person, and recognize that you're guilty before God and trust in him.
Why am I not a good person?
If we're honest with ourselves, we've all lied, stolen, cheated, dishonored our parents. We've broken God's law. God has given us a law, and we broke it.
But we're again getting into the rut of, how do we know this God exists in the first place? And things are more complicated than being a liar and a thief. And some parents deserve to be dishonored. What if your parents are narcissist jerks? You should dishonor them. There are parents who are narcissists, right?
You can still honor your parents even if they're not good. It doesn't mean that you obey them if they tell you to do bad things.
Why would I honor something that is not good? That won't make any sense.
Well, you would be. So I'll go down this rabbit hole with you. Let's just say you have the worst parents in the world, right? But God has commanded you to honor them, right?
Then I'm not going to follow that command.
how do you honor them? You honor them by not being that way, right?
Wait, hold on. Wait. I honor my parents by not being my parents.
Yeah, by being by not continuing that cycle, right?
So wait.
Like not drifting into that
Not
same thing.
so not continuing the cycle of their abuse and narcissism is me giving honor to them and not me actually healing from the narcissistic abuse.
Well,
that's
really,
crazy.
Really, the command is to honor your parents, but it's by obeying God that you're doing it. It's not that you're doing it to glorify your parents. You're doing it to glorify God.
Right. But we're back at the situation of not knowing there is a God in the first place. But the second thing I would say is that me being the opposite of my parents doesn't bring honor or honor my parents. It brings honor to myself because I'm not them. I've done the opposite of what they do. I've healed from their narcissism and their abuse. So me not being them and cutting them off and being a better parent to my children than my parents were, brings zero honor to them. That's honor to myself.
Well, I understand what you're saying. So, and I totally forgot. What is your name?
My name's Volcy.
Volcy?
Yeah. All right. Well, I do gotta go. We do got other people on the line, but I do appreciate
same here.
you.
Well, hey, yeah, I appreciate the conversation. It was really good chatting with you. I hope you have a wonderful.
All right. Hold on real quick. Well, 617 hung up. All right. So, Land, is that your name?
It's Landry.
Landry, how's it going, Landry? Landry, are you at least 18? And what did you want to talk about?
Unfortunately, I'm old. I'm 44. I just wanted to talk about a couple of little things.
Give me a second.
Yeah, you got a busy live tonight, eh?
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. 951. Hold on for me for a moment while I talk to someone on my TikTok live. All right, please hold. All right. What you were saying, Landry?
Well, I did want to talk a little bit about God, but I'm actually interested in why you think that leftist policies are better for society. Like, first of all, like, what is leftist?
Leftist policies such as universal health care, investing into our public infrastructure so we can have more walkable cities and more public transportation. You know, investing into like things like nuclear power so we can handle our climate crisis. And things like living wage tied to the tied to inflation and the cost of living of your area, parental leave, things like that.
So leftist would be, I'm guessing, the polar opposite to rightist. So rightist, a person on the right would not want any of those things.
Typically, they do not. They think universal health care is going to mean that you can't see your doctor and the government is going to control everything. They think paid parental leave shouldn't happen because all you got to do is quote unquote look for a better job that has it. They don't believe in any of those.
So I want to just share something interesting with you. I'm assuming you're an American?
Correct.
Would that be correct? Okay. So I'm your neighbor. I'm Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of those leftist policies here.
Mm-hmm.
And the right also agrees with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in America, we have a complete in America our quote unquote.
I guess what I'm trying to point towards is I feel like this left and right thing is kind of almost an illusion that's been created for all of us, because I think in the end, like, really what we're talking about is liberal and conservative policies, and liberal and conservative is like things that we kind of all have in us of both sides to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that they capitalize on it and pin us against each other. I'm just giving you my opinion is all.
I don't typically
they pin us against each other, so we're kind of fighting each other.
Here's,
and then
Landry,
we'll elect a politician.
Landry, slow down.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I don't disagree typically, right? I know for a lot of things that people agree on. What I'm talking about when it comes to the American public, you'll be surprised how many people would think like someone the guy who was just pewed in the neck a few months ago, he literally said that children shouldn't have school lunch. You know what I'm saying? And people agree with that. So you'll be surprised here in American society how crazy that it gets, which is why I kind of put out that leftist policies are better for society, because someone like that who believes that children shouldn't get lunch at school, there are people who agree with them and make policy based on that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
That doesn't happen
of
in
course, neighbor.
Canada,
Yeah,
but it happens here.
I do. Yeah, I understand, and I guess that's actually part of what I'm just trying to share with you is that I believe that's due to people, I guess, picking a side too rigidly, and then the more we do that, so the more that someone is leftist, the farther they go left, or the more someone's right, the farther they go right. And then when we say, leftist is best and you other guys are crazy, that's never going to end, and it's just going to get worse. But we know that those two oppositions, I mean, in the universe entirely, there's dualities, and it's necessary to have those two arguments going back and forth to keep one or the other side in check. Yes, I agree with that. There is some utility to it. But I think that we really need to be careful not to get too hard onto one side, because I find what we do, like, for example, we'll vote for a politician and they could totally, can I swear on your live?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't care about that. I was in the military.
Yeah, they could totally fuck everything up. They can make a big list of what they're going to do and fuck everything up. And then what you got is their voters saying, no, it's okay because this, and they stand up for them. And what I think should be done is, hey, wait a second, motherfucker, I gave you my vote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I should be bitching about that, right? And that's the way I think that it should be. But somehow, and the same thing's starting to happen in my country as well. We're doing the opposite. Do you see that at all?
No, I get that, right? But when I say that leftist policies are better for society, I say that because down here in America, left is viewed as essentially everything evil. The gays are going to come touch your kids, and we've seen from the Epstein file that it's not a whole bunch of drag queens in there. It's a whole bunch of Christian white dudes that are doing it. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that I try to point out to people. Not to say that conservatives are suddenly just bad people. I know like old school conservatives who don't rock with Trump at all. Yeah, I mean, and they have other ideas on how to run society, and they're more aligned with what I want to do, but simply don't think that the government is the way to do it. That's fine, and we can have a good policy discussion. But if I'm talking to people that think that we should have the 10 commandments in school, and trans teenagers in Vermont who want to play soccer are a huge threat to society, then we're having a problem here. You see what I mean? That's just what I mean when I say leftist policies are better for society.
I might agree or disagree. Like the trans thing, if you're talking about like someone that's is born and they don't identify with their gender, and then later on they choose to extend that into their physical body as well, and get surgeries and whatnot, and then go into the opposite sexist sport. I don't agree with that myself. But all the other things, I mean, of course, I consider myself centric, and I think that the healthcare thing's great. A lot of the other things you said is great. And if those are leftist policies, then yeah, those leftist policies are absolutely superior than the right, in my opinion. But I just wanted to take the opportunity to throw out there that, I feel like both of our countries are kind of falling victim to going too far left or too far right, fighting each other instead of the actual issues. You know what I mean? Fight the issues, not the people.
No,
you know what I mean?
I don't disagree. Which is why I'm more on this is why I talk about policies. I don't like to go into like culture war stuff. Yeah, I mean, at least a lot of times there are some culture war stuff that I think that we should absolutely talk about. Yeah, I mean, but
I'm glad that you actually have that. I'm glad that you actually are disciplined that way, and you are about the policies, and not like everything left is amazing, and if you're not left, you're insert insults here. Now, when it comes to God, what I'd like to ask you is, have you ever looked, I doubt you have, looked at the whole God thing and then tried depersonifying it, and then kind of putting yourself back in those ancient ancestors' shoes and seeing how they're trying to understand the world around them? And then like the Bible, for example, it mostly speaks in parables, and then Christians and whatnot, maybe they took it and made it literal for their own purposes, and that there actually is some really good use to that. And it is possible that, we do have a purpose and there is an underlying source. It's just not some person in the sky that's speaking to us all and that we can pray to like it's fucking Santa Claus.
I was a Christian for 25 years, so yeah, definitely I've done that.
So do you think there could be, and I'm just curious, do you think there could be an underlying source, not necessarily a God as described exactly in the Hebrew Bible or the Quran?
Like some sort of like ultimate source of, yeah, I guess
Like an
maybe that could
intelligent
be a thing.
origin somehow of the universe, like not necessarily a creator that's a being or something, like an underlying substrate that actually makes this all happen, makes it all be in motion, makes things like brought us to where we are now, evolution, everything, right? Because like Genesis, for example, I looked at it differently, and then I actually looked at the Hebrew language, and there's like 4 different levels of actually interpreting their language. There's like a hidden meaning, there's the literal meaning, everything. That's how their language actually worked, especially back then. And then so if you relook at Genesis again and you look at it like, okay, and it's also a retold story, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, apparently. It's not the original Genesis story. It's taken from a story of even earlier than when Genesis was written. So anyways, I digress. So it's seemingly that the emergence of consciousness is like a higher state of consciousness is happening there. And the snake has always been symbolic of wisdom and knowledge. So it's not literally a snake. And then when they say that, if you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is basically, consciousness and awareness, and being able to discern these things, then you'll surely die. And then the woman will feel pain in childbirth. So what it is, it's a perception thing. Before this, we didn't really think about it. Hey, someday I'm going to die. Oh my God, death is coming. Now we can perceive it. So that's why we could surely die.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
even
No,
Cain and
I
Abel,
agree.
it's
No,
conscience,
here's
right?
the thing. Yeah, I agree. The Bible is literally just all basically metaphors and parables. A lot of this like literally didn't happen, right? So like I don't have an issue with that with viewing the Bible that way. It's more around the line of like people who view this as literal, and do we actually have any good evidence to believe in angels of God? I don't think that we do. Now, is there some sort of underlying source that create the universe? Is that possible? I guess to be philosophically correct, you can say that, yeah, some sort of underlying intelligent force is somehow possible, right? Just to be just to be like what I was gonna say again, just to be philosophically consistent and correct, you can say that's possible. Anything is possible. But do we that those things being possible doesn't mean that they're actually true, right? Because it's possible that there's a pink dragon in the middle of Neptune, but is it probable? Is it true? Probably
Yeah,
not.
of course. Yeah. And for myself, I think that there's more evidence. I haven't had any evidence pointing to the unlikelihood of there being an underlying source. I've seen more evidence pointing to the possibility of an underlying source. Do I know what that underlying source is? Hell no, I don't. I would love to. I think if anybody figures it out, it's going to be the quantum physicists. They're actually working on kind of some things like that now. They're actually redefining gravity is not like it's more of an emergent force. It's not a fundamental property, etc.
Yeah, it's
But
more
anyways,
emergent.
I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my point of view and stuff. And I hope you have a great day.
Nah, bro, appreciate you.
Take care, bro.
You too. What's going on, Caddy? I had someone else up here, beloved, but for some reason they dropped out. I'm not sure why. I'm gonna invite them back. So, beloved, if you're still in the chat, go ahead and come on up. I'm not sure why you dropped out. I was just giving everybody a chance. But Caddy, how's it going, bro?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Hold on, I got a call. Give me a second, Caddy.
Call from
Hey, how's it going? You're on with Volcy. Can I get your name, age, and did you disagree with something I had on the board?
Hi, my name is Mike. I'm 29. Not necessarily disagree, just on the topic of God specifically. I just wanted to kind of talk to you about if you've ever heard of the cosmological argument for God.
Yep.
About there being, everything since time and space had a beginning.
Everything
that there
had
had been
a cause, and et cetera, et cetera. Everything that begins
Right,
to exist
everything
had
had
a
to have a
cause.
first
The
cause.
universe had a beginning, so therefore it had a cause, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, it had to have some kind of first cause
Mhm.
to the creation of time and space, and even scientists, do admit that whatever that cause was, for the Big Bang, if we want to call it that, had to be outside of space and time, and had to be pretty powerful and timeless.
Well, they don't
in
say
order
that.
for it.
They don't say that. They
They
say we
don't say
don't.
that?
No, they say we don't know what it was, because before time, because the Big Bang, like, it was, what the Big Bang was an expansion of space time, from a hot dense state. And when they say hot dense state, it's basically a term for, we don't know what that is or what was going on yet. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. There is no before that. They're not sure what that even would even mean, or outside of that, because they're not sure what that even would mean. You know what I mean? So it's not that they say that, whatever caused it had to be very powerful and outside space and time. They literally said, we don't know. When it gets to that singularity, we have no clue what we're talking about, and we can't figure it out.
Right. But in order for that hot density singularity mass to have come into existence, whatever had that first cause for that to become into being, it had to have been something even just as powerful, if not more powerful, and not something of the material physical universe.
Well, again, we don't know. We're not sure, because we can't tell what's going on anytime before that, or if time even makes sense, or if our concept of time even makes sense, when it comes to that, right? So it's like, there's no way to tell. We just don't know. Now you can go ahead and say that's, that's plausible, if you want to go do if you want to, like, speculate on what caused the hot dense state, because it didn't come from nowhere. Of course, something had to always be there, which kind of implies that something always exists. Like, nothingness is not an actual thing. There's always something, right? So, but other than that, we wouldn't be able to tell anything else, at least not in physics. We can speculate between each other, but in physics, they can't tell. In physics, as a matter of fact, there's a bunch of competing hypotheses. There's like the big bounce, where the universe, like, crunches back in, and, like, gravity takes over, the universe crunches back in and expands again. And it keeps going that it keeps going through cycles eternally. And there's also, there's also the theory, or the hypothesis, that this universe is within a black hole. Yeah, I mean, like, when a star collapses, that singularity within the star creates another universe. There's that. What I mean, there's multiverse hypotheses. There's other hypotheses, but we're not able to tell yet. We don't know.
Right. And with those hypotheses, you still have to have the concept of infinity, because if you're saying that the universe itself just crunches back in and re-expands, and there was no real beginning of matter, that it's always existed. The concept of infinity within math and even philosophy is really difficult to explain. But what they, but going back to, I mean, this, science does suggest that the universe did have a beginning, and everything that begins to exist has a cause. Things just don't pop into existence from
Without
nothing.
a cause. Yeah, correct.
Right, without a cause. So that's and because they, why aren't things just popping in and out of existence all around us right now? Because there is an order to time and space and matter that we live in now. There is a fine tuning into the physical realm that we live in, and so in order for basically the argument, and it's very compelling to me as someone who does believe in God, is that, well, in order for that to be the case, there has to be something outside of the physical universe to have caused that first cause of the universe itself.
Mhm.
And I'm not here to to say that that's a personal God or anything like that, but it is, and it would have to be something very powerful and eternal with the concept of infinity.
I mean, it could be a
in order
natural
to
process.
cause that first cause.
It could be a natural process that we simply don't understand yet. If there even was a first cause, like the universe could have, like I said, that's a hypothesis there, that the universe could just be something that recycles itself over and over and over.
Been going on forever, this way and that way from the past to the future. But that has never really been mathematically explained, that philosophical concept of infinity. And that concept alone is just as great as believing in a first cause on that end, the one that I'm arguing for. It's just as much of a belief in believing that time, matter, and space is eternal as something of a belief that something outside of the physical universe that was timeless and spaceless was able to create that first cause, if that makes sense.
So,
both, you know what I mean?
Right, but the thing is, like, at this point, we're all kind of just speculating, right? Like on what would be the truth or not. But what we have more research for, and what evidence more shows, is that space-time, or the universe itself, could be more of an emergent property than it is like something that was deliberately placed here. We just don't have any evidence that something was deliberately placed here. I mean, because the issue is the big issue is that we have nothing to compare it to. We only have one universe, right? So we can't go into another universe and say that this one is a natural one and this one is a designed one, because look at the different particles or whatever. We just can't do that. So like until we're able to, until that time comes around, if it ever does, we really have to, we're really on a speculation here on what actually caused the universe. We just can't say one way or the other.
I agree. I just thought it'd be an interesting conversation with you. I appreciate it, man.
Not a problem.
Hopefully talk to you soon. All right.
See you. All right, y'all. 617 looks like a familiar number. That looks like a very familiar number. And I'm gonna call it back in a second. Let me see here. Yeah, he's called before because I see him on the text. So he's called that. This person has called before, and if it's who I think it is, then I'm just gonna hang up. Caddy, how's it going, bro?
How you doing, man? You ever notice how when they talk about spiritual stuff, they always lean toward the Abrahamic finite belief system
Mhm.
with monotheism, and they don't like really think about like infinite science models, and they don't think about other spiritualities outside of the Abrahamic sphere. Like they don't look at other, like, indigenous spiritualities, their models. They don't really think about that kind of stuff. They just stick with like the Western oriented monotheism, which is just crazy, because when you talk about spirituality and you're trying to contextualize it philosophically, you would think that the person would actually do their due diligence and understand all the spiritual models that exists. But no, instead they focus on the Abrahamic monotheistic model, and which often goes into finite science, not infinite science or cyclic science. You know what I mean? Which is, keep in mind, like you said, there's no consensus in the scientific community between these two models, infinite model or finite model. There's no consensus. It's up for, there's a lot of different theories and a lot of different philosophies within them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never knew that there even was an infinite model. I gotta I gotta read more up on that. I'm pretty sure you know more about it. But give me a second, Caddy. I do have Stevenson. Is that your name, Mr. Stevenson? Stevens. I'm sorry about that. All right, Stevens. How's it going? Are you at least 18?
Yes, sir.
And did you want to talk about something I have on the board?
Sure.
All right, sure. What did you want to talk about?
What was that last one?
Well, I have two up here. I have leftist policies are better for society, and why should I believe in a God?
Leftist policies definitely, I don't think, are better. And whether you believe in a God or not, that's your choice.
All right, cool. So we can go ahead and talk about number one. And if you want to, we can go to number two. All right, yeah, I think leftist policies are better for society because leftist policies, at least in the American sense, are all about things like universal health care, investment into public transportation and infrastructure so we can have more walkable cities and less pollution, investment into nuclear power so we can deal with our climate crisis, dealing with pollution, maternal and paternal leave, parental leave, paid parental leave, more vacation time for workers, more unionization for workers, complex sex education, things like that. All these not only increase productivity, but increase information in our society and make us better educated and healthier. And all those are wins. I don't see how they'll be bad for society. Why is something like universal healthcare bad for society?
I am in agreement with everything that you're talking about, but I'm a realist. And how you gonna pay for all of that?
Taxes.
If that's the case, how come it ain't been done then, bro?
Racism. I'm not even kidding. Literally racism. The reason why we don't have, for example, Medicare was supposed to be universal.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm one of them ones. I understand the history of why we don't have universal health care. I'm there with you. I'm telling you, I am. I understand and when you say racism, I understand where you coming from. But my thing is, why aren't other communities saying that?
Because of racism. They got brainwashed.
No. Why don't other communities complain about the things that we as Black people complain about? Now, I'm somebody who studied it, and you sound like somebody who studied it. Why don't they have the same gripes that we have?
Oh, because essentially they're kind of like being folded into whiteness, where they're made the class that can be against the Black community. They're lifted up as a model minority. Essentially, we know that was done with Asians.
Now, now I hear you, and I'm gonna actually say that I understand you, but they can't function like that, bro.
Who can't function like that?
And you know that as well as I do. What I'm trying to say is these people are functioning tribally. This is why that's why they're in America and they're thriving. They live amongst themselves. They do business with themselves. They have communities amongst themselves. Therefore, they have the American dream and they have absolutely nothing to complain about. They have 10x their lifestyle here in America. We could do the same thing.
Oh, no, I understand exactly what you're talking about. I understand what you mean, right? A lot of them like come to America and they build themselves up, but you also know about the history of this as well, where whenever Black people did do it, what happened?
Right. So what would you say the next step of that is? The
Well,
next step of, no, the next step of that is our ancestors, they went and did all this stuff in public.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, that gave us these results.
Mhm.
So that would say, okay, we need to go underground, create underground think tanks that function like secret societies, and build up our own societies and build up our own communities where we can thrive
Agreed.
uninterrupted like other communities do.
Yeah, agreed. We need to move more in silence.
No doubt. Because I went through the phases of this stuff, where I was pumping my fist, I made other people the ops, but as I continue to continually labor in this craft and see what's going on and look around, I can see, man, if those other communities can do it, we can too, bro.
Oh, we definitely can. Yeah, it's just that you already know the history of this as well as I do. We know what happened when we did. So we just got to mean that means, excuse me, as we said before, yeah, we gotta move in silence. We gotta have some sort of strict code. I think one of the biggest internal issues in the Black community is not sticking to a code, not really sticking together. You know what I mean? Right now, one of the big issues within the community is diaspora wars. Like, I don't care about the bow stops. Like, let's work together. You know what I mean?
Bro,
So
bro.
it's one of those things.
Don't you find it interesting? Because see, think about it, bro. We sitting here and we're talking about very touchy topics,
Mhm.
but yet we are educated individuals, and we sitting down because I can hear it in your heart, bro. We there's a true desire here to fix this. You know what I'm saying, and get this thing done the right way, man. But it seems that we as a group have mastered like becoming each other's ops, vice coming together. Man, I mean, I would love to be able to like have a home, where I could have all of my family living in there
Mhm.
and expand that to having a compound to where, we got first, second, and third generations living on that compound producing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But we got some labor, bro, of therapy and other things that we got to do. We got to heal our minds and our hearts, bro. Learn how to love one another again.
Yeah, and which is why like I chose to become a counselor, and I want to redefine what masculinity is, because honestly, when it comes to us as Black men, it's only been the colonizer letting us know what masculinity actually is and what being a man is. We never really got to define it ourselves. Actually, we did, but you know what happened. The slave trade happened, that was interrupted, and we never got to develop it. So even over in the motherland, their version of masculinity is not that there's something that they came up with, is what the colonizer imposed. You know what I mean? So it's like all these things is something that we have to, just like how you said, we need to go ahead and close up shop, close in ranks, to talk to each other in silence, build these things up from the ground up. We need to understand different systems other than capitalism, because I've always said that capitalism is not only an economic system of profit, it can also be an ideology. You know what I mean? Like, what do I gain from helping this person? What do I profit from being with this person? Which is, it's intuitive, right? It's intuitive. You're not friends with somebody else for no reason. You're friends with your homies because they made you laugh. You met back in kindergarten, and y'all been locked in ever since. You know what I mean? There's a reason why you're homies with them, but you're not trying to only profit off of him. You're working together. You see what I'm saying? So that's the type of thing that I'm talking about. We need to be more cooperative in what we're thinking.
Exactly.
That's what I'm.
Exactly. And man, I listened to you. You said you were a counselor, bro. I just wrapped up a 2-year working in the juvenile detention, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was interesting because, after about a year of being there, I realized that one of the most masculine things that I could say to those guys is that I love them.
Mhm.
And a lot of people hear me say that, and it causes a lot of confusion. But, I know I come from the hood,
Mhm.
and I didn't hear that
Mhm.
growing up. And I knew what I needed. And when I got in there with them dudes, bro, I would pull them aside and I'm like, bro, listen, I need to tell you some of the most gangsterish stuff that you probably ever heard in your life. And I'm from LA, so they was always interested. And I would look them square in their face, bro, and I would tell them, bro, I love you. This ain't got nothing to do with this job. This is me as a black man. You know what I'm saying? Out here serving you. I said, bro, I love you. And I'm telling you, bro, you would see the tears, bro, just immediately fall out their face. You know what I mean? Like, man, we gotta learn how to love again, bro. That's the most gangster. We know how to do all the other stuff, bro. We need to love again.
Yeah, man. No, I 100% agree with you, man. And the thing is, like I'm my dad is from Haiti, right? And the thing is, when it comes to that culture, one thing that I've always said that we need to take from American culture is that the fathers telling their sons that they love them, because I didn't hear my dad say he loves me until I was like 22. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, y'all, we cannot pass down that toxicity down to our kids, which is my nephew. Every time I talk to my nephew, he always know I say, all right, I'm all right, nephew, I'll see you later. I love you. You know what I mean? He needs to hear that from another man, another grown man. So he knows, he grows up with that. You feel what I'm saying? So I've always said that it's my wife is Jamaican, right? And she said a lot of times the same thing there. The men don't tell they say I love you. You know what I mean? Because it's a very macho, very patriarchal culture. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
yeah,
all
man,
that is good and well,
a,
but like we gotta love each
That's a
other. That's like
very
you said.
sissy mindset.
Hold on, get
bro,
not your turn, not your turn.
love is a discipline, bro. Love is like music. It's like money.
Bruh.
It's like English. It's like math. It's a discipline,
It's a
bro.
discipline. Thank you.
And it's for me personally. It took me looking at what I wanted and being that social alchemist to becoming the giver of that. That's how I mastered it, by giving it, bro. I didn't have good role models, but when I had kids, I made a vow. I said, you know what? I'm gonna give these kids everything that I wanted.
That I didn't get.
And
Exactly.
the reciprocity from that was incredible.
Exactly. Yo, Stevens, I think I have more people on stage and I gotta get out of here in like 15 minutes. So I do appreciate you. Definitely give me a follow and we'll talk more, because like this is something that I want to do. I want to have this conversation with men, to especially black men, to see how we can heal, you know what I mean, come together to heal each other and understand each other, understand different versions of masculinity, being having vulnerability, being able to open up, having joy. You know what I mean? These are all things that we need, you know what I mean, as black men. Not all life has to be super hard and super macho. You feel what I'm saying? So definitely give me a follow, and I definitely want you to be on the panels when I do topics about redefining our manhood and masculinity. All right, but I do appreciate you, Mr. Stevens. All right, I'll see you soon, okay?
No doubt, man. Thank you.
No problem. Dwayne, I know you're a friendly of mine. And my wife is right now staring me down because we got dinner plans tonight. So I gotta hurry up and get out of here. But I know, baby. I know you're hungry. All right, I promise, baby. I promise 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I promise. All right. So Aiden, I think you came up here because you disagreed, Aiden. So let's talk for about 10 minutes and I gotta get out of here. All right, Aiden. What did you disagree with and why? You can unmute yourself now.
Cool. Yeah, so I was just looking at your prompt.
Sure.
And I don't think leftist policies are better for society. All
right. You probably didn't hear all the policies that I gave. When I say leftist policies, I mean things like universal health care, investments in infrastructure and nuclear power, dealing with the climate crisis, maternal and paternal leave, things of that matter, investing into, not just investing into, but complex sexual education, things of that matter. Those will be better for society.
Yeah. I just don't think that the climate crisis is really a crisis.
It is. We have hurricanes that are more powerful than ever. We have harsher winters. We have drier summers that cause wildfires all over Australia and California. The climate crisis is 100% real, and we see it. We see all the effects of it every single day. I mean, not every single day, but we see the effects of it like every winter and every summer. So saying that it's not real is kind of crazy at this point. We have all the evidence that it is.
Yeah, but like I don't feel it.
Doesn't matter what you feel, it's real.
According to who?
According to the data that we have, according to the science, according to the fact that temperature is rising higher than the average. The average temperature of Earth has risen at least 1 or 2 degrees for in the past 100 or so odd years. Yeah, I mean the fact that there are coral reefs that are completely extinct because of the acidity of the water. The fact that there are harsher hurricanes, there are harsher winters, there are harsher summers. What do you need? These are all things that are predicted by the climate crisis. Back in the 90s, the climate scientist says this will all happen within 15 to 20 years. So what do you call that?
I call that pure luck. Guessing. They guessed.
Are you trolling me right now, Aiden?
No, I just think that like environmentalism, they push for veganism as well.
So
You know, are you a vegan?
I'm not personally, no.
So why are you a leftist?
You can be a leftist and not be a vegan. Are you trolling me right now, Aiden? Yeah, he's trolling me. All right, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Hey y'all, I do appreciate all y'all who was watching me over on the Volcy channel. Caddy, go ahead and let the people know where to find you because I'm about to go out with wifey now. I might be back later, y'all. I might be back later. We'll see what time I get home. If I get home and I'm feeling up to it, let's see if wifey wears me out. We'll go ahead and get back into it. But let's see. Caddy, let the people know where to find you.
You can find me on Wednesdays at like midnight Central Time. I talk about Hinduism, mostly about Hinduism and spirituality.
All right, cool. And y'all, tomorrow I'm going to be with Godless Engineer. We're gonna be cranking it out. I'm gonna be back here tomorrow, y'all. Me and Godless Engineer, we're gonna go I think at about 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Me and Godless Engineer will be I'll be co-hosting with him over on his channel, and we're gonna go ahead and get it rocking, get it popping. And on Sunday, it's gonna be a short stream again. Well, it won't be a short stream. I'm gonna be on the Roots Collective first, and then after that, we're gonna do a stream over here. Okay. So make sure to follow the Roots Connect. Gonna go ahead and get it popping. All right, Caddy, I'm gonna see you soon. All right, bro.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, man.
You too. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. If I'm able to come back tonight, I will. But if not, then I'm gonna go ahead and see y'all tomorrow. Do apologize for the short stream, but I have plans and I gotta go out with wifey tonight. So I appreciate y'all, love y'all. Remember, y'all, every man should be soft. That means secure, affectionate, wise, flexible, and thoughtful. All right, stay up, stay cool, stay safe. Every man should be soft. Peace.